Without spending any money, Hammer could have told some people to fuck him the fuck up. I know who Hammer was affiliated with, and he wouldn't have to pay to tell somebody to fuck somebody up. His people would just do it. We from Oakland.
Oh, you gonna talk about my dancing pants? I see you. And he will whoop a nigga out.
Run up on him.
Hammer beat you.
I bet he'll beat your
Come on, run up on Hammer.
Whoever was on the phone said, hey, is third base still coming to LA? And she said yes. And the voice said, good, they're dead, and hung up the phone.
You know, Hammer was a big dog, man. He got respect in the streets. He came from a respected crew, and they handled business, him and his brother Lewis and the crew.
He said, yo, Joe, I let it go. Like,
His entourage was something like I never seen in my life. Like, it was literally more than 100 people, probably.
That's actually how he...
But it was girls, guys, gangsters, dancers.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everything was kind of pointing to his brother as being kind of like, sort of like the gangster in that crew.
He played that part.
I believe they identified that the call was from Hammer's brother, Louis Burrell.
his brother gangster, Louis Burrell. You feel me? He a gangster. You know what I'm saying? He's an intelligent gangster. You feel me?
We was already in Oakland with EPMD, and we damn near had to bounce up out of there for that. Cause they had niggas back here, back here, back here. We had to get the out of here. They wasn't playing. We was almost boxed in.
There's a hit. Rolling 60 Crips, 30,000 members, $50,000. Dead.
On March 30th, 1962, in Oakland, California, a kid by the name of Stanley Kirk Burrell entered the world as the youngest of 8 siblings. Born to a father who worked as a professional poker player and gambling casino manager, and a mother who served as a secretary, the Burrell family struggled to make ends meet. His parents eventually separated, and he, along with all of his siblings, grew up with his mother. They grew up in poverty, living in a small 3-bedroom housing project in East Oakland, where Stanley had to share a room with 5 of his siblings.
This is the home that made me work hard to want to be more than just a nobody in life or be more than just another drug dealer or something like that.
It's very, very tough to live in that type of an environment and survive.
To run away from his day-to-day struggles, Stanley used to go around various Oakland parking lots, dancing with friends to various beatbox beats. If they weren't doing that, Burrell with his friends would be hawking stray baseballs for $2 each.
This is why I started playing baseball. This is why I learned to play basketball and football right here at Brookdale Park. And as you can see, it's still no dogs allowed.
Apart from having fun with friends, young Hammer also wrote poetry and tried to emulate some of the idols that he saw on TV, including the legendary James Brown. At the young age of 11, Burrell's talents were noticed by Oakland's athletics team owner, Charlie Finley, after he saw the 11-year-old doing splits in the Oakland's Coliseum parking lot.
After completing his dance, he recognized me as the owner of the ball club and walked over to me and he said, "Mr. Finley, could you take me into the game as your guest?" And I said, "Yes, I'd be glad to." And I got pretty well acquainted with the Hammer.
Finley noticed the passion that Burrell had in his eyes and instantly knew he was going to be somebody. To put his flair and good energy into use, Charlie hired him as a clubhouse assistant and a bat boy. In reality, his brother Louis Burrell Jr. was the bad boy, while Stanley's job was to take calls and do play-by-play for the A's absentee owner during every summer game. For the next 7 years, Hammer was Finley's eyes and ears, and this would also be the time when Stanley would get his infamous nickname, which would very soon become a nationwide phenomenon.
I got my nickname the Hammer because of my resemblance when I was very small to Hank Aaron, the Big Hammer. So everyone was calling me the Little Hammer, the guys on the Oakland A's when I was the bat boy for the Oakland A's, and I kept the name. So everybody knows me as Hammer. Hammer, I am Hammer.
The MC in his later years also didn't come from anywhere. He acquired the name MC for being a master of ceremonies, which he later used when he began performing at various clubs while on the road with the A's. During this time, he befriended a lot of Oakland's A's players, the same ones who would later play a crucial role in his career. In 1980, Burrell graduated from McClymonds High School and decided to take undergraduate classes in communications while simultaneously pursuing a career as a professional baseball player. At the time, dancing and writing poetry were mere hobbies for Stanley, and his only dream was to become a professional baseball player.
I thought that I wanted to be a professional baseball player, and I thought that the attention that they received and, the things that came with being a star athlete was really the epitome.
Unfortunately, that dream was short-lived, ending when he failed to make the final cut at a San Francisco Giants tryout. With his dream crushed, Hammer found himself lost. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, he witnessed a lot of his childhood friends making money hand over fist by selling drugs on the street, and for a brief moment, Stanley was also thinking about joining the game. However, he realized he was destined for something greater.
Grew up in Oakland, one of 8 kids, in a neighborhood that somebody just described to me that now looks like the streets of Beirut. Crime, drugs. Why don't you think you went that way? Were you ever tempted to go that way?
Was I ever tempted? I would say that anybody who grew up on my block had to be tempted.
What made you stop it and say, this is not what I'm going to do? And how close did you get?
Well, what made me stop was my mother. I knew how hard she worked to provide for us as a single parent, and I knew that it would break her heart to find out that one of her children was involved in any aspect in drugs.
This realization led him to enlist in the United States Navy, where he served as a petty officer 3rd class aviation storekeeper for 3 years until his honorable discharge. After he was done with the Navy, his passion for music and religion reignited once again, but before his successful run saga, he first formed a Christian rap group with the singer and musician John Gibson called the Holy Ghost Boys. Together with Tremaine Hawkins, Hammer performed with Gibson's band on concerts at various venues such as the Beverly Theater in Beverly Hills. Unfortunately, the group went nowhere, and after releasing a couple of songs, the squad disbanded. Determined to fulfill his dream, Hammer decided to take destiny into his own hands and called up the 2 of Oakland's ace players, Dwayne Murphy and Mike Davis. He asked for a loan of $20,000 to start his own record label. Surprisingly, they agreed, and in 1986, MC Hammer found a record label, Busted Records. He went to the streets and began recruiting rappers, DJs, and dancers. Some of the people included Kent Wilson, aka Lone Mixer, his DJ, Kevin Wilson, aka 2 Big MC, his hype man, Sweet LD, Terrible T, and Lil P, who were dubbed Oakland's 357 and were his background dancers. Hammer was demanding and focused, leading marathon rehearsal sessions to push his act to a higher place. The main focus at the time for him was to implicate some of the things he learned in the Navy into everyone's work ethic. He later commented, "We have to keep our organization disciplined because we have goals, and in order to achieve those goals, we have to be disciplined."
So you find yourself being somewhat of a father on the tour, a strict dad?
I don't want to ever have to call somebody's mother or father and say, I got bad news for you. They found your daughter this morning dead on 10th Street about 4 o'clock. I think the first question from that parent mind would be, Hammer, I let my daughter go with you. What was she doing out at 4 o'clock in the morning on 10th Street? So therefore, I accept my responsibility, and if I get labeled a disciplinarian, then again, thank you.
In the same year, in 1986, he recorded his first single, Ring 'Em. In partnership with Felton Pilot, frontman, instrumentalist, and producer of the then recently disbanded Confunction, recorded his first full-length album in Pilot's basement studio. In August of 1986, Busted Records released MC Hammer's debut LP, Feel My Power. Together with his wife Stephanie, they pushed the album to local DJs relentlessly, all by recording and selling singles out of the trunk of their car. Singles like Ring 'Em became considerably popular at dance clubs in the San Francisco Bay Area, all on the strength of their tireless street marketing. With the couple working as Busted's promo team, Feel My Power sold an impressive 60,000 copies. This didn't go unnoticed by major labels, and soon Capitol Records knocked on Burrell's door.
Welcome back to MTV Raps. This is Fab Five Freddy, hanging out with my very special guest today, MC Hammer.
What's up, Freddy?
Word up. Yo, Hammer, I'm getting a lot of mail in from people all over the country. They want to know how to get started in rap. So what I want to know from you is how you got started and where you from.
Well, you know, I'm from Oakland. We call it Oaktown where I'm from.
Oaktown is cool.
I got started. I put together a couple demo tapes. When the tapes, got together like I wanted them, I gave them to two companies. Both of those companies liked the tape and they signed me, and that's how it started to roll a little bit, but they didn't have enough money to make it happen.
Right.
So I went to a couple of my partners on the Oakland A's.
Oh, the
baseball team. And Mike Davis and Dwayne Murphy invested some money in me, and I started my own label, and it worked, and Capitol heard about me, and they picked me up.
So you got with Capitol, and that's when the real big push started.
Right.
While he turned down a lot of record deals previously, this was too hard to resist. In 1988, MC Hammer signed a multi-album deal with Capitol Records for an astonishing $10 million. From the advance that he got, which was $1,750,000, he decided to reinvest $750,000 into Busted Records, and with his next project, MC Hammer took over the world. In 1988, Hammer reissued his first record, Feel My Power, and with additional tracks added, he sold over 2 million copies. Let's Get It Started was released on September 28, 1988, and featured singles like Pump It Up, Turn This Mother Out, Let's Get It Started, and They Put Me in the Mix, which all of them landed on the charts. 2 years later, in 1990, MC Hammer released his infamous album, Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, which included the single,
Can't touch this. Yeah, that's how we living, and can't touch this.
The success of the album catapulted Hammer's career to legendary status, with it selling an unbelievable 22 million copies. It's hard to overstate how popular MC Hammer was at the time, everywhere from music videos, commercials, movies, and even cartoons. Hammer was everywhere.
Your legs are insured? How much did you insure your legs for?
10 million.
Your legs are worth 10 million?
Hey, don't put it that way. No, they're worth more than that to me.
The album marked the start of his run at hip-hop stardom, and throughout the years, Hammer continued to release albums, which sooner or later became certified classics. With the spotlight all to himself, it seemed like everything from here on end would be smooth sailing. However, this wasn't the case. While a lot of people loved MC Hammer, just like anybody, he received a lot of criticism from the media and some of his peers.
Are you a rapper or not?
Well, in one unescapable aspect, yes, and that is the fact that I don't sing. I'm not singing my lyrics, I'm rapping. But in every other aspect, the answer is no, I'm not a rapper. I entertain. I say that in not meaning any disrespect to other rappers or other rap artists, just saying if you want to continue to say what you is pure rap and so forth, okay, you have that, you can have that. You take the Chevrolet, I'll take the Mercedes.
I consider rap very boring to go out to a rap concert and watch a guy walk left to right. There was nothing entertaining, to me about that except the music itself.
At the peak of his career, people didn't know what to think or how to feel about Hammer. His clean-cut look and carefully choreographed dance routines just didn't strike him as a typical hip-hop artist, and especially a tough guy. After all, he was a full-grown man who danced around with colorful outfits and a pair of parachute pants. With this image in their heads, people within the music industry and some of the most popular rappers at the time saw Hammer as a soft guy from Oakland whom they thought they could diss on their records with little to no retaliation. However, they couldn't be more wrong, and despite the way he expressed himself, Hammer was no pushover. You see, while he was jumping on the stage from side to side, MC Hammer and his family had deep mob ties in Oakland. More specifically, they were affiliated with Felix Mitchell, an infamous drug lord from Oakland, California, who was a leader of the 6ix9ine mob criminal organization. At the height of his career, it is said that he made more than $1 million a month, all by selling crack and heroin on the streets. One of the areas that he operated was the one where Hammer grew up. While in 1985, Felix Mitchell and his crew were taken down by the FBI, Hammer and his brothers were surrounded by gangsters for most of their lives. Despite his image, MC Hammer was affiliated with the most powerful street guys in the Oakland area, so when this track started to roll, and people decided it was a good idea to mock him, Hammer made sure to assess the situation. In 1987, Hammer mentioned LL Cool J's name in the song Let's Get It Started. Three years later, in 1990, LL responded on this track to The Break of Dawn. The song was a diss track towards Kool Moe Dee, MC Hammer, and Ice-T, and the second verse of the song featured lines like "Call crush and bruise and bandage a amateur, that amateur swinging a hammer. Get a flick off the stiff, dead, shot to get swift. But I'm the wrong brother to dance with, cause I don't need a partner to swing. I'ma show you the real meaning of the danger zone. Stop dancing, get to walking. Shut your old mouth when young folks is talking. You swing a hammer, but you couldn't break a glass. Give me a lighter, woof. Now you cut loose from the Jerry curl juice." Once Hammer heard the remarks LL Cool J made about him, he sent a couple of his guys to pull up on him after one of his shows. It is alleged that after he arrived, an argument quickly erupted and LL Cool J got punched in the face. Not long after, they got a chance to meet up and managed to resolve their issues and got back on good terms. While the situation between LL Cool J and Hammer resolved fairly quickly, this couldn't be said the same for Third Base. In response to Hammer dissing Run DMC, Third Base decided to diss his mother in their song, The Cactus.
Fast forward, and Hammer disses Run DMC and says that he wasn't hitting in New York, his videos dissing running them. And Joey and Jay, may he rest in peace, that really bothered them. And it really bothered us. Like, how are you going to diss the dudes that gave you a lane? Like, you wouldn't even be on American Bandstand. Like, at the time, there were very few lanes for hip-hop, but they were all opened by Run DMC.
On the song they say, The Cactus turned Hammer's mother out. While it was supposed to be a play on Third Base album name and Hammer's song turned his mother out, he took it as a serious insult and a disrespect towards his mother.
Our album was called The Cactus. Hammer's album was called Turn His Mother Out. We had a song called The Cactus, title song to the album. Last verse, Pete says something, and then the last line is, The Cactus turned Hammer's mother out. Now that line, for any MC people realized that we were saying that our album was better than his album. But it was a play on words, and it was dope. It was a dope play on words. The Cactus turned Hammer's mother out. The name of his album was Turn His Mother Out. So we felt our album was better. Like, again, confrontation, battle. That's like where we come from in New York. It's standing up for your shit. He didn't take it that way. He took it extremely literal.
Sometime later, Third Base traveled to Los Angeles to promote their upcoming album. While they were flying, allegedly, MC Hammer's brother phoned Def Jam CEO Russell Simmons and told him that the group will die as soon as they got to LA.
I believe they identified that the call was from Hammer's brother, Louis Burrell. And I can't prove that or not prove that, but that's what it came down to. Whoever was on the phone said, "Hey, is Third Base still coming to LA?" And she said yes, and the voice said, "Good, they're dead," and hung up the phone.
According to MC Serch, a $50,000 bounty was put on their heads, and he himself was the special target. Eric B. confirmed the hit to MC Serch, and it was said that the Rollin' 60 scripts were hired to execute the job.
Eric B. calls Russell and goes, "Yeah, it's true. There's a hit. There's a hit." So Russell says to Eric B., "Well, how do we stop this?" And Eric says, "Nah, you should just let it happen," and hangs up the phone. Russell, in some way, shape, or form, gets in touch with Mike Conception. And Mike confirms what's going on. But Mike says that he can control it and that they shouldn't worry because the only thing that'll happen is they'll just break our legs. But we'll still be able to do TV from the waist up.
In response, Russell Simmons asked Barefoot Pookie to protect their base while they were in Los Angeles. A couple of days later, MC Serch decided to go to a mall with his girl, with Pookie watching their backs. It is alleged that sometime after arriving to the mall, MC Serch met some fans and started to sign autographs. During these couple of minutes, Serch was approached by some Crips that were there at the mall, and they started to press him. Luckily for Serch, Pookie stepped in and stopped them from harming him.
And I'm signing autographs, and I look up, and I'm signing autographs, and as they get closer, the dude over here, he pulls the rag up. Dude over here, he pulls the rag up. They start to spread the girls, and as they come up to me, Pookie whistles. Everything stops. He throws up some signs, whatever signs he throws up. And it's one dude right in front of me who's got his hand on his ratchet, pulls down his mask, and he goes, yo, man, I love that record, but I was finna smoke you right now, homie. And the dude right next to me comes over, he goes, yo, can I get an autograph, man? And he's like, yo, homie, I was finna smoke you too. You know, fucking Pookie didn't say nothing. I was finna smoke you, man.
Unfortunately, Serch didn't see this as a blessing from the sky and continued to escalate the feud. If that wasn't enough, the following day, MC Serch went on the radio, and while being live on air, he proceeded to call MC Hammer a bitch, challenging him to meet up and stop hiding behind goons.
The next day, we were giving away the Jeep on Greg Mack's The Mac Attack, which was the morning show at K-Day. And we walk into Greg Mack, and we're all excited, and Greg Mack is shaking our hands, and we're all happy-dappy and, you know, excited to be on the morning show in LA and yada, yada, yada. You know, we're giving away the third base Jeep, but we got a special person on the phone right now. 5 American Music Awards last night. He's up. He stayed up on our behalf. MC Hammer's on the phone. Hammer, how you doing? Hey, Greg, man, I'm great. Yo, it's great to talk to you. Yada, 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 yada. He goes, yo, I heard you had something you wanted to say to third base. He's like, well, you know, I just want to tell him, you know, I don't think it's cool for somebody to, you know, diss their mom in a record. Like, you know, I don't think that's cool. Now, mind you, I never said that lyric. Pete said the lyric, right? So I look over to Pete. You're a rhyme, dude. Say something. Nothing. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. So I say, you know what? I said, man, if you feel like we dissed your matriarchal, that's okay, but you know what you did. You know what's going on in these streets. Why don't you man up and see me face to face so we could figure this out? Stop being a...
A couple of minutes later, the radio station received a phone call from a man who identified as a Roland 60 script and told Serch, we're going to kill you.
He takes a call live. Greg Mack, who's this? Roland 60 Crip, N-word, we finna kill them. Boop! Out! Security grabs us. We run out the fucking building.
In response to the threats, third base instantly evacuated the station, jumping in their car and heading back to their hotel. As they were driving off, a car full of Crips started following them and began pointing guns, insinuating that they were about to shoot them.
We get into the van. We start heading down the hill. There's 2 blue cars. And these dudes get out, Mac 11s, pointing at the vehicle. Pookie jumps out, throws his signs up. They get back in, they leave.
Once again, they somehow managed to get back to their hotel rooms alive, but for the rest of the press run, they wore disguises and left LA as soon as the press run ended. MC Hammer denied all the claims.
It's ironic that even today, 20-something years later, you know, the Serch cat, he want his claim to fame to be, I'm telling you, Hammer was gonna have me, you know, put in the dirt somewhere. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous that you want that to be your claim to fame. But when you only sold about 300,000 records, you gotta grab something.
In 1991, Ice Cube released a video for his single, True to the Game. In the video, there's a scene where it shows a rapper dressed in hardcore style clothing who later changes into red sequined outfit, which features symbolism of a rapper selling out and crossing over into the pop culture. The man in the video seemed to be awfully similar to MC Hammer, and once again, he wasn't going to let it slide. One day, Hammer was at his hotel room when suddenly the person he was on the phone with informed him that they saw Ice Cube at Roscoe's in Hollywood. He and his entourage jumped in their cars and arrived at the spot only a couple of minutes later. They caught Ice Cube as he was leaving the establishment and started to question him about the video. Allegedly, Hammer told Cube to never let that happen again, to which he responded, "No sir, that won't happen again." Redman also crossed paths with the MC. In 1992, Redman released his album, What? The album. And on the intro Funky Uncles, we can hear two people having a conversation about MC Hammer. It begins with one of them saying how much she likes him, while the other responds, "I don't know what you see in him, he ain't shit." He continues to say, "Your mama ain't shit, your daddy ain't shit, ain't nobody shit." MC Hammer didn't take this one lightly either, and once he heard that Redman is in town, he knew he had to be there.
Yo, even when I said about Hammer, yo, I said, listen to my first album. When I did the skit, and I was like, you know what? That goddamn MC Hammer, him, his mama, and the whole nine. That nigga came up to me on MTV Cribs on the last episode they had, where everybody out on, not MTV Cribs, sorry about that, I'm zoned. On the last Dr. Dre and Ed Lover on MTV, when they had the last episode.
Yo MTV Raps.
Yeah, Yo MTV Raps. When the last episode they shot, when they had everybody rapping on it, MC Hammer was there. That nigga approached me. He was like, "Red, I'm gonna tell you something, you young, but I don't allow nobody talking about my mama. You understand me?" I said, "Yes, sir." Because, yo, we was already in Oakland with EPMD, and we damn near had to bounce up out of there for that. Because they had niggas back here, back here, back here. We had to get the out of here. They wasn't playing. We was almost boxed in.
Hammer's story is a perfect illustration of the saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover." In today's world, many people tend to laugh or ridicule him for his financial missteps. However, what often goes overlooked is the fact that he never abandoned his day once. He remained loyal to every single person he knew, feeding many at the peak of his career, paying them a monthly salary of $50,000, hiring family members as managers and assistants, and sharing his blessings with those closest to him. In the end, it was those very people who left him out to dry.